Oh, what's up guys, CP Stuff and Stuff here, back at it with another video. So today we are going to be doing a Digimon deck profile. We're going to be doing a Jesmon deck profile with a side deck included for Digifest. So let's get right into the profile and let's get us started, shall we? So, we're going to move everything else out the way. We're going to start with our eggs here. We're going to start with, I run 2 copies of Demi-Meramon and 3 copies of Baby-Damon. So, most people run 4 copies of Baby-Damon and maybe 1 copy of Demi-Meramon as a 5th egg, but I do 3 copies of Baby-Damon and 2 copies of Demi-Meramon. With Baby-Damon, you get 2k with piercing, which is actually really good, because you can go up to, because your Jesmon go up to like 16, 18,000, depending on what you have in its sources. But the reason I run 2 Demi-Meramon instead of 1 is, well, because sometimes Demi-Meramon can be more consistent, and also just to let you in, I didn't have a 4th copy of Baby-Damon, so I just ran a 2nd Demi-Meramon. Also, this one's foil, and I like it. So, yeah. That's the only reason I run the eggs. But honestly, it's pretty consistent and pretty good overall. Now let's get into the main deck here. So first off, we have 4 copies of Huckmon. So, Huckmon here is basically your searcher of the deck. He is your best searcher. He allows you to reveal the top 5 and grab any 2 Digimon with Huckmon or Sistermon in their names. It's very good for the consistency of the deck because sometimes you tend to brick, but then you're also able to search out your Savior or a level 4 your Bio or any Sistermon in case you don't have any for your Jesmon. The next card you're going to run at 4 is 4 copies of BT7 Huckmon. So BT7 Huckmon is also good for consistency purposes. He's a pretty good rookie, because he allows you to reveal the top 5 when you. Okay, it says when attacking once per turn, you can reveal the top 5 of your deck and grab any number of Sistermons. So all Sistermons. You can reveal maybe 3 or 4, and you can just have a buttload of Sistermons in your hand, which is actually pretty good. Because in case you don't have any, you can probably grab a Sistermon, or if you need more of a specific one, maybe Blanc or Blanc Awakened or Seal. Which is actually pretty good here for the deck. Very consistent. Now we move on to the 2 ofs. Let's just pick these up. We move on to the 2 ofs. We're running 2 copies of Greymon. Okay, well, Greymon, yeah. Greymon, his on-play, well, the actual effect here doesn't matter because we usually don't use it because we don't run any Galamons in this deck. But his effect is when deleting, it says, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, trigger draw 1. So this is also good for consistency, because most of the time either you use Judgment of the Blade when you swing, or one of your opponent's Digimon is suspended. So you'll be able to swing, but also draw 1 at the same time, which is still pretty good in regards to this. Next we run 2 copies of Gaiosmon. So I run 2 copies of Gaiosmon to always, get ready for green. Because lately I've seen a lot of green players in my area. So this is good. This allows you to not be able to reduce Digivolution costs on all turns, but also gives your other Gaiosmon 3000 DP. So this can be swapped out with the side deck, which is, obviously, it can also be swapped out with the side deck. It's not mandatory. It can just be swapped out with the side deck or any other card if you're choosing maybe 2 more, like Agumons or something. But it's a good tech choice to have for, in case, like, preparations for green and stuff. Then I just have the 1 copy of the starter deck Agumon. When attacking gives plus 2k, which is also good. First swinging over, get your Jesmon to 18. That's basically it. Then we have 3 copies of Sistermon Blanc. I only run 3 copies of Sistermon Blanc because I also run 3 copies of Blanc Awakened. The reason I run 3 copies of Sistermon Blanc, also I don't have a 4th copy, but the reason I run 3 Sistermon Blanc is because I want to run 3 Sistermon Blanc Awakened. Because it's a very situational card, Blanc Awakened, but it's allowed me to recover 1 to survive turns and then swing for game after. Usually using Judgment of the Blade and Security, or just hard playing it to recover 1. So that's why I also run 3 copies of Sistermon Blanc. The regular Blanc is good for draw power and blockers, but Blanc Awakened allows you to recover 1, which is pretty, unique in regards to being red, because red usually can't recover 1. But it's also pretty good. I know people say it's a 2 of, but in my opinion it's a 3 of. Because, like, I just love the way it allows you to recover 1, because it saved me games before, which is also really good, which I love. So, let's grab those up. Next, we're moving on to our level 4s, aka our champions. So we're going to So first of all, we start with 3 copies of Biohuckmon. So I run 4 copies of Biohuckmon and 3 copies. So the reason I run 4 copies of Biohuckmon is because it allows you to pop a 5k or less when attacking, which is really good for clearing the board and wiping your opponent's board. But also, unlike the other level 4s we run, it's unlike the other red level 4 we run, it's searchable with the Huckmon and every other searcher, which is only the Huckmon, but still, it's a level 4 that's a searcher. So you won't end up bottom decking it in case you need a level 4, so you'll be able to add it to hand. The next one we run is 4 copies of Greymon. For the reason I run 3 copies of Greymon instead of 4 copies of Biohuckmon is because Greymon's good for security attack +1, but you also have your ties. So I guess it's easier to close out games depending on which one you have. But just like the Biohuckmon is more searchable, which is also better because sometimes when you search, you always end up bottom decking the Greymon because Huckmon only allows you to grab a Huckmon and a Sistermon. So I guess Biohuckmon is good for consistency's sake, being a searchable and all that. So it's good to have your level 4s be able to search. And last red level 4 is 2 copies of Agunimon. Well, not just the rest level 4. We won 1 more level 4, which is obvious. 2 Agunimon. I usually had this Agunimon originally at 1, and I had 3 seals. But then when I went to actually test it out, like in tournaments and stuff, I realized that the seal didn't come up as much. Seal's always going to be a 2 of, and Agunimon's going to be a 2 of, because this is good for closing out games. This actually helped me win one of my matches by closing out the game with Agunimon, because I was playing against like a Hexablau Zulong deck, so I wasn't able to swing with my sources, with any sources, and they stripped all the sources off my Jesmon, so I wasn't able to swing, and I didn't have a level 4 in hand to Digivolve on top of my Huckmon, so I could swing for game, but I had an Agunimon in hand, so I was able to Digivolve into Agunimon off tie and then swing for game, which was also really good for closing out that game. And last level 4 is obviously standard 2 copies of Seal. Allows you to gain a memory on play and gives any Huckmon on the field all turns plus 2k. Now that's basically it. Seal Awakened is not as good because it's basically your Bio Huckmon. But yeah, that's basically it. Just Seal, standard copies here. Next we move on to our Megas here. No, we move on to our Ultimates, my bad. We move on to our Ultimates, which are our level 5s. We only run 6 standard, 4 copies of Savior Huckmon, obviously. Because Savior Huckmon is literally the best level 5 for Jesmon. The when Digivolving effect is you can play a Sistermon from your hand when you Digivolve into this, but most of the time it won't come up because you'll always be like hiding and raising until you can get into your Jesmon. The inheritable effect is once per turn when you have a Sistermon Digimon with Sistermon in its name in play, you can restand. So it allows Jesmon to swing twice for 3 checks each, maybe clearing your whole security, go into Omni for game. So this is the best level 5 for Jesmon. But it's really going to suck when this gets limited in like BT8, which is going to suck. But for right now, I guess we're goating it out. And last level 5 is obviously just 1 copy of War Greymon here. The reason I want only 1 copy of War Greymon is obviously space sake. But also War Greymon doesn't come up as much. It's mostly into Savior. This is like a second to last resort just in case. It does give your Digimon security attack +1 when you delete a Digimon, and most of the time you are going to be swinging over something. But it also says, when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Yeah, but that doesn't come up. Most of the time you'll be swinging with Jesmon, but this is our last level 5. It's a really good level 5. I love it. It's come up sometimes to be able to clear the rest of the security. And now we move on to our Megas. Yep, our Megas are level 6s. So we only run 4 copies of Jesmon for our Megas. Because honestly, there's not really another level 6 you can run for Jesmon. I mean, yeah, it is hard to, since there's only 4, you have like a 1 in 46 chance of getting the Jesmon out into your hand. But most of the time you do. And you do have your searchers like Huckmon to search it out for you, so you'll be fine with that and belong to a lot of consistency drawing here because you need to be able to get this into your hand to be able to make your plays. It has the effects are when attacking you can play a Sistermon, and the other effect is your turn once per turn. When you play Sistermon, you get plus 3000 in piercing, and plus everything else is going to put you up to like the 16, 17, or 18k, which is also really good. I really like Jesmon, and I wouldn't run like Gallantmon or anything like everybody else does, obviously for space sake, but also for, other reasons. Because the Gallantmon doesn't really come up as much as I would like it to, even I've tested it out. And for level 7s, 2 copies of Omni. So a lot of people say you should run only 1 copy of Omni, the Omnimon with Blitz, but I say you run 2 copies. In my opinion, you will always run 2 copies. instead of 1. Because you need to see it in your hand sometimes to close out games, because sometimes you don't have the Agunimon to close out the game. And sometimes you can get literally destroyed, like the new Darugamon decks that can like clear your whole security, wipe out 2 of your guys. Darugamon's crazy. But I feel like this is good because you'll be able to close out the games with the Blitz ability. And yeah, people say you have the Agunimons, it's easier to set up Agunimon. But most of the time it's easier to set up Omni because you just have to Digivolve into it. And it's obviously going to pass turn because you've probably already used up your memory because it's a 4 cost. And then you swing, and then restand, swing, and then you got game. That's why I'll run 2 copies of Omni when people say only run 1. Now we move on to our option cards. We have 2 copies of Red Memory Boost. I like this art better than the other one from the starter deck. You know, classic Red Memory Boost. Reveal the top 4, add 1 red Digimon, delay effect, trash it to gain 2 memory. Pretty standard in most red decks and Jesmon decks. Red Memory Boost, pretty standard. 2 copies of Judgment of the Blade. Okay, I played 2 copies of Judgment of the Blade. This is very good for Jesmon. Okay, and you're able to the security effect is add this to your hand and play a Sistermon from your hand. But the main effect is you can target any Royal Knight or let's see, I think it's Royal Knight. Yeah, any Huckmon or Digimon with Royal Knight in its name, aka Jesmon, to be able to swing over your opponent's suspended Digimon till the end of the turn, which is good for also clearing boards, but also getting that piercing. And 2 copies of Delicate Plan. I've seen people run 1 copy of Delicate Plan and maybe 1 copy of Gravity Crush. But in my opinion, the Gravity Crush is very situational, so it doesn't come up as much, which has like not helped me at all. Because sometimes with that Gravity Crush, I wish I had that 2nd copy of Delicate Plan because I've played around with it. So I run 2 copies of Delicate Plan because it allows you not to be able to check security, so you get over those blue security checks and every other security check that happens in red and green and sometimes blue, which will maybe suspend your Digimon or do something with their security effects depending on what option cards they run. But this is still good to get those safe checks because Gravity Crush for me doesn't come up as much, so I run 2 of that. And for your Tamers, obviously mandatory 3 copies of Tai Kamiya. So 3 copies of Tai Kamiya because, well, it's Tai Kamiya. It's a memory tamer and you get security attack +1. And like every tamer, it comes into play when it's in security. But it gives security attack +1 to all your red Digimon, which is Jesmon. So usually Jesmon, maybe with the Greymon under it, and then the check it gets, it can do 3 checks with a restand and then check again. Or this is still good because if you don't have that Greymon, it can still do 2 checks for like 18, swing, restand, and then swing again. That's 4, and then going to Omni to maybe swing out the rest of the security. Maybe if you still have memory left, like you don't do the Blitz, then you can go to a Goonie or something. But this is the best tamer for Red Jesmon. So that's the main deck. Now we move on to the side deck. I'll discuss my side deck options. This is my first time using a side deck because Digimon never had side decks before or mulligans, but I'm still getting used to it. So this is my best chance with a side deck here. So I run 3 Digimon, 1 starter deck Agumon, 2 starter deck Agumons for both starter decks, and 1 Greymon. So the reason I have this here, this is going to depend on what happens at Digifest. So in case there are not many greens or any green players who play green at Digifest, depending on the matches I get into, I will swap out the 2 Gaiosmon for 2 copies of Agumon. I couldn't find the other one of this one, so I gotta grab this one instead. But this is more consistent anyway, because it's on your turn gain 1,000 instead of when attacking, so which is still good. But I would swap these out for the Gaiosmon, just because like if there's not much green players, because usually only green reduces Digivolution cost or Digizorbs, then I will obviously swap these out for these to get more rookies that I can Digivolve and get effects from with my Jesmon to increase the DP. And the Greymon is in there because, well, before I told you I run 3 copies of Greymon instead of 4 copies, just in case, I don't see the Greymon as much, or depending on what I play in the tournament for Digifest, depending on what decks I run into and what happens, I might want a 4th copy of Jesmon and only 3 copies of Biohuckmon because I want to get that extra security swing to close out the game. I guess it's pretty reasonable. This is my first building a side deck. So next with the side deck is I do run, sadly, 3 copies of Gravity Crush. I know I said I don't run this in the main deck because, it doesn't come up as much. But then again, there is times it does come up, and I guess I do have the 3 copies of Gravity Crush for Maybe, I guess, just consistency's sake, just in case I need the extra memory, I'll swap it out for maybe a delicate plan or something. But I just run 3 copies of Gravity Crush. Honestly, this is just to fill up space. I know it's only like 1 to 10 for your side deck, but I just wanted to add 10 just for purposes, because my OCD. But then we're going to run 3 copies. Okay, so we're going to run 2 copies of Flame Memory Boost. So the reason I chose Flame Memory Boost is because one of your Digimon gains Security Attack +1 when you play it, and the delay effect is gain 2 memory. Yeah, basically, yeah, that's it. So basically, you can gain 2 memory on another turn, but then you can also gain Security Attack +1, which you can play for 3 instead of Red Memory Boost, maybe swap it out for 1 of Red Memory Boost to be able to gain Security Attack +1. But then again, I said this is all very situational. These option cards are very situational when it comes to playing, so I guess I'm going to have to swap things out for Smart, but most of the time I don't think I'll swap things out because I think my deck is pretty good. But honestly, this is my first time building a side deck, so there's really nothing I can do, but I'm trying my best. So Flame Memory Boost, and your last 2 options are going to be Giga Storm and Baptism by Fire. Giga Storm, because this allows you to delete 2 opponents' Digimon with 8,000 DP or less for a cost of 7. Security effect is activate the main effect, so this is pretty good to see in security. But also, to play for 7, you can pop 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 8k, because they could be like level 5s, and it could be ready to go into your level 6, but you could pass turn with this to pop both of them, so they have to rebuild their whole stack, which is pretty good. The reason I don't include this in the main deck is mostly for space purposes, because I prefer the Delicate Plan and the Judgment of the Blade, but this is situational. And honestly, I just included this because it was funny. It's literally called Baptism by Fire, but also the effect is delete one of your opponent's Digimon with Blocker, with 6,000 DP or less, and Blocker, and it's only 3 costs, so it's 3 costs to delete a Digimon with Blocker. And then again, you'll always be able to swing into it with the Judgment of the Blade anyway, but honestly, I just wanted to fill up space for my side deck. I tried to pick good tech options, but this is the best I can come up with. Also, this is just funny. I literally pulled this yesterday out of an EX1 pack, Baptism by Fire. Can't say that's not funny. Well, I guess that's the end of the side deck. Yeah, so that is it. That is the deck profile for my BT7 Jesmon deck that I'll be taking to Digifest. I hope to see some of you guys there at Digifest. Please let me know in the comments down below if you are going to go to Digifest. Well, that's basically the end of the deck profile. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I am a small content creator that I want to be able to upload more content, but sometimes I don't have the money for it, so your support and everything would be nice. It would be great, actually, for me to have the motivation to keep uploading content, because it's fun to upload content and give content to you guys. So please make sure to like and subscribe and comment, and y'all have a blessed day. CP out.